Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I speak today also on behalf of my honourable friend, the Member for Westminster North, who is unable to be with us today. This country has indeed been tested over the last year, and our communities have seen struggle in many ways. And the pandemic has also held up a mirror to our country's resilience and to household resilience. I also joined the Minister in thanking our work coaches and other civil servants across the country for all that has been done in the DWP to support those in need. It is right that this year this uprating order will increase working age benefits, disability support and the state pension. But the Minister will know that working age benefits were frozen by the Conservatives between 2016 and 2020 and finally increased by 1.7% last year. However, unemployment support was still at its lowest level in real terms since 1992, prior to the emergency uplift, a policy that has left families struggling to make ends meet. Now, Labour supports the government's decision to honour the triple lock state pension commitment this year that will see the basic state pension and the new state pension rise by 2.5%. The Secretary of State has decided to upgrade the personal or standard allowances of universal credit, income support, housing benefit, JSA, ESA, disability carer and other working age benefits in line with prices. But this does come after this decade of cuts. And excluding coronavirus-related increases, Madam Deputy Speaker, the majority of working age benefits were between 9% and 17% lower last year than they would have been if benefits had been updated by CPI since 2010, and that is according to the House of Commons Library. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to highlight today in my remarks three important omissions from the order. The first, the Minister has referred to, and the reason why I think he spent so much time talking about the withdrawal of the uplift is because it is a matter of concern to colleagues on all sides of this House, and I mean all sides of this House. And indeed, it is disingenuous for him to say that we are scaremongering when all we are doing is highlighting the concern that families up and down the country have, and many groups that I will also reflect in my comments today. He and his government have yet to say what is happening to this lifeline for families in need, which is a lifeline through lockdown and as lockdown starts to be lifted. And there are indeed reports today, Madam Deputy Speaker, of the Chancellor and the Prime Minister arguing about what should be happening to the uplift. He will know of the extra costs that families are facing, including increased food costs for children at home, and the use of small local shops, homeschooling materials and increased utility bills. The 0.5% increase on last year's universal credit level that he has proposed will be academic for those who are set to see a cut, and it is a cut, to their universal credit of £20 a week from April. If the government is seriously thinking about economic recovery, cutting universal credit is like pulling the rug from under the economy's feet. This £20 a week is not saved by families. It is spent in shops and businesses across the country, stimulating the economy. And we all agree that this pandemic and the unemployment crisis will not be over by April this year. The reason people want to know about what's happening with the uplift is that the families can plan ahead for what is to come. The Resolution Foundation has also highlighted the income shock that comes with a move to universal credit. A third of new claimants reporting a drop in their income of at least 40% compared to a year ago. Citizens' Advice have told us that 3/4 of the people it is helping who are on uplifted benefits would have a negative budget if the £20 uplift was cut. The Trussell Trust research shows that 1 in 5 UK claimants report it is very likely they would be forced to turn to a food bank. The Child Poverty Action Group warned that this move could see another 200,000 children pushed into poverty. Older people are paying the price too. Those aged 50 to 64 out of work has risen by more than 175,000 since the start of the pandemic. This age group are at particular risk to long-term unemployment, and many will be forced to take early retirement before they can afford to do so. Angela in Sunderland told me that she was made redundant 4 weeks before her partner suffered a life-threatening illness. She became his carer, but the couple in their 50s have run out of savings. She is having great difficulty finding work and has drawn on her private pension to cover bills. The cut to universal credit would push Angela and her husband into further financial difficulty at the worst time. So he and his government should do the right thing and secure our economy by cancelling the cut to universal credit from April, not least because when Labour forced to vote on the issue, he abstained. Almost 11,000 people in his constituency as well are on universal credit. Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to also talk about legacy benefits because it's discriminatory and unfair that the £20 a week uplift was never extended to those on legacy benefits, many of whom are carers or disabled. There is simply no excuse for it. This injustice has been raised repeatedly by Labour and other parties and has been called for by the chair of the cross-party DWP Select Committee, who is also in the chamber today. And indeed, in the Select Committee's report today, they highlight a recent survey by the Disability Benefits Consortium of Disabled People claiming legacy benefits. This found that 2/3 of disabled claimants had to go without essential items at some point during the pandemic, and almost half report being unable to pay rent and household bills. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation, along with 50 other organisations, has called on the government to match the increase in legacy benefits as part of their Keep the Lifeline campaign. The government claims that the legacy systems would take too long to update, but that is not a reason, it is an excuse. We are now nearly 11 months into the pandemic, so what excuse does the government have now for this blatant unfairness? And Madam Deputy Speaker, this order has also failed to uprate the benefits cap, which remains at the same cash level since November 2016. This means that any inflation-linked increase to underlying benefits families are entitled to, they won't see. He knows what this means, Madam Deputy Speaker. December's figures show that 170,000 families are seeing their benefits reduced by £246 per month on average. 85% of those families include children. Ending the cap would put much-needed cash into the pockets of Britain's poorest families, helping them through this crisis without a devastating increase in household debt. Similar also applies to the local housing allowance, which has been frozen in cash terms again for 2021-22, and where the intention is to carry the freeze forward into subsequent years, as hinted by the Secretary of State in a written statement in December. It means that the government is refusing to make even the bottom 30% of local rents affordable to private tenants. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, in a compassionate society, we need a fair and supportive social security system that helps build resilience, support people seeking work, and helps families through difficult times. A quarter of UK families had less than £100 in savings when the crisis began, and this pandemic has hit families' incomes hard. Labour is supporting today's increase to working age benefits, disability support and the state pension. But he will have heard our views today of the major omissions, and if he won't act today, he must act soon and heed the warnings from those on the front line. They are working with families who are doing the right thing in very hard times and asking simply that their government be on their side.